The call came on a Tuesday afternoon while I was reviewing foundation grant proposals in my office overlooking Central Park. Emma, it's Mom. Her voice had that careful tone she used when delivering bad news disguised as reasonable decisions. We need to talk about Sarah's baby shower. I set down my pen. What about it? Well, honey, we've been thinking. Sarah's friends are all from her residency program. Pediatricians, OBs, surgeons. Very accomplished women. And you know how doctors can be about professional hierarchy. I'm not sure I follow. What I'm saying is they might ask you questions about your work, and when you explain you're in nonprofit administration they might be judgmental. Sarah doesn't want anyone feeling uncomfortable on her special day. The words landed like small cuts. Clean. Precise. Designed to hurt without seeming intentional. So I'm not invited to my sister's baby shower. It's not that you're not invited, sweetie. It's just, maybe it's better if we keep it to her professional circle. You understand, right? These women are very particular. I stared out at the Manhattan skyline. 47 stories below, people moved through their lives, unaware that in this glass tower, a woman was being uninvited from her sister's celebration because her career wasn't impressive enough. I understand, I said quietly. Oh good. I knew you'd be mature about this. We'll have a private family dinner later, just the four of us. That'll be nicer anyway. When's the shower? This Saturday at the Rosewood Hotel. 2 o'clock. Sarah reserved the garden terrace. It's going to be beautiful. The Rosewood. I knew it well. I'd hosted 3 foundation galas there. That sounds lovely. It will be. And Emma, this isn't personal. You know we love you. But sometimes it's better to be practical about these things. After she hung up, I sat in silence for a long moment. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up my calendar. Saturday 2 p.m. I had blocked off for personal time. I'd planned to attend Sarah's shower, bringing the custom-engraved silver rattle-eyed commissioned from Tiffany. Instead I sent a different message. 2. Jameson Foundation Board of Directors Saturday meeting strategic review required. I typed carefully, professionally. An urgent matter requires board attention. I'm calling an emergency meeting for Saturday 2:30 p.m. to discuss recent developments with our hospital partnerships. Specifically, we need to review the status of our $25 million commitment to Presbyterian Heights Medical Center. Details to follow. I hit send. Then I opened my personal contacts and found Dr. Helena Reeves, Chief of Surgery at Presbyterian Heights. We'd had lunch monthly for 3 years, ever since the Jameson Foundation had partnered with her hospital for a pediatric cancer wing. Me. Dr. Reeves, are you attending a baby shower at the Rosewood Saturday? Helena. Yes. Sarah Chen's shower. Do you know her? Me, she's my sister. Helena. Your sister. Why didn't you mention this? Are you coming? I'd love to introduce you to the other attendees. Me. Unfortunately, I wasn't invited. Family dynamics. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Helena. That's odd. Sarah talks about you sometimes. Says you work in nonprofit admin. Makes it sound very entry-level. Me, she's not wrong. I do work in nonprofit administration. Helena. Emma, you're the executive director of the Jameson Foundation. That's not nonprofit admin. That's one of the most powerful positions in medical philanthropy. Me, Sarah doesn't know that. Helena, how does she not know that? Me, because I've never corrected her assumptions. It seemed easier than explaining. Helena, and now she's excluded you from her shower because she thinks you're not successful enough for her doctor friends. Me, something like that. Helena. Emma, Presbyterian Heights received $8 million from Jameson last year. Sarah did her residency there. She's been bragging to everyone about working at the most well-funded hospital in the city. She has no idea that funding came from you? Me, no. Helena. This is absurd. Me, it's fine. I'm used to it. Helena. It's not fine. But I respect your privacy. What's this about Saturday? Me. I'm calling an emergency board meeting. 2:30 p.m. We need to review our hospital partnerships. Helena. All of them? Me. Particularly Presbyterian Heights. There was a long pause. Helena. Emma, the pediatric wing opens in 3 months. We've already spent $17 million of the committed $25 million. If you pull funding now. Me. I'm not pulling anything. I'm reviewing. But the board needs to discuss whether our partnerships align with our foundation's values. Specifically, whether we're supporting institutions whose staff demonstrate the kind of character we want to promote. Helena. This is about Sarah. Me. This is about institutional values. Helena. Emma. Me. Helena, I've given Presbyterian Heights $25 million over 3 years. I've attended every fundraiser. I've personally recruited donors. And my sister, who works at your hospital, has decided I'm not accomplished enough to attend her baby shower. That's her choice. But it's also my choice to ensure foundation resources support environments that value all contributions, not just the ones that come with MD credentials. Helena. Point taken. But you should know, if the board questions our partnership Saturday, word will get out. Sarah's shower will be full of Presbyterian Heights staff. They'll hear about it. Me, I'm aware. Helena. And you're okay with that? Me. I'm okay with the truth being visible. I sent the message and leaned back in my chair. Imogen. That's what my family called me. My legal name. The name on my birth certificate and driver's license. But professionally I was Emma Jameson. The hyphenated name I'd taken when my grandmother, Catherine Jameson, had named me successor to her foundation. Grandmother Catherine had built Jameson Medical Foundation from nothing. Started with a $50 million inheritance from her pharmaceutical executive husband and turned it into a $780 million philanthropic powerhouse. When she died 5 years ago, she'd left the foundation to me with one instruction: give it to people who'll use it to heal, not to stroke their own egos. I'd been executive director since I was 31. I controlled grant distributions, fundraising, strategic partnerships. Last year alone, we distributed $94 million to medical research, hospital infrastructure, and community health programs. My family knew I worked for Grandmother Catherine's charity. They knew I did grant paperwork. They'd never asked about titles, responsibilities, or scope. Sarah, 4 years older, pediatric surgeon, my parents' pride, had always been the successful daughter. Harvard undergrad. Johns Hopkins Medical School. Residency at Presbyterian Heights. Now chief pediatric surgical resident with a promising career ahead. I was the daughter who'd gone to just Georgetown and ended up in nonprofit work. Never mind that Georgetown's public policy program had led directly to a fellowship at Jameson Foundation, which had led to Grandmother Catherine mentoring me personally for 6 years. My parents introduced Sarah as our daughter, the surgeon. They introduced me as Emma, she works for a charity. I'd stopped correcting them when I'd realized the truth. They needed Sarah to be the successful one. That narrative was comfortable for them. Changing it would require them to reassess 36 years of family dynamics. So I'd let them believe what they wanted. But now Sarah had crossed a line. Not attending the baby shower was one thing. Being explicitly told I wasn't accomplished enough for her doctor friends. That required a response. Not a petty response. Not revenge. Just clarity. Saturday morning arrived cold and gray. I dressed in a charcoal Armani suit, the one I wore to board meetings when I needed to project authority. Pulled my hair into a sleek bun. Minimal jewelry except for Grandmother Catherine's diamond studs. At 1:45 p.m. my phone buzzed. Sarah, baby shower starting soon. Wish you could be here, but I know you understand why it's better this way. Love you. I didn't respond. At 2:15 p.m., I walked into the Jameson Foundation's emergency board meeting. 12 board members, all distinguished medical professionals and philanthropists. The room overlooked the East River, floor-to-ceiling windows, modern minimalist design. Thank you all for coming on short notice, I began. We need to discuss our hospital partnerships, specifically Presbyterian Heights Medical Center. Dr. Richard Thornton, board chairman and former Surgeon General, leaned forward. Emma, we've committed $25 million to Presbyterian Heights. The pediatric wing is nearly complete. What's the concern? The concern is institutional culture. We've invested significant resources in Presbyterian Heights based on their commitment to inclusive, patient-centered care. I need to verify that culture extends to how they treat all contributors, not just those with medical degrees. Board member Patricia Zhao, retired hospital administrator, frowned. Has something happened? I've become aware that some staff at Presbyterian Heights operate under a hierarchy that values only certain types of professional achievement. They've demonstrated a pattern of dismissing non-medical professionals as less valuable. That's concerning, Richard said. Do you have specific examples? I do. But I'd like to table detailed discussion until we can hear from Presbyterian Heights leadership directly. I've invited Dr. Helena Reeves, their chief of surgery, to join us at 2:45. She's coming here? During Sarah Chen's baby shower. Patricia's eyes widened. Emma, isn't Sarah your sister? Yes. Understanding rippled through the room. Richard cleared his throat. Emma, are you conflating personal family matters with foundation business? I'm ensuring that foundation resources support institutions whose values align with our mission. If Presbyterian Heights staff believe that only physicians contribute meaningfully to medical care, if they actively exclude and diminish other professionals, then we need to reconsider whether they're the right partner for a foundation built on inclusive excellence. The room fell silent. At 2:47 p.m., my assistant showed Dr. Helena Reeves into the conference room. She looked stressed, still in her dress from the shower, clearly having left early. Dr. Reeves, thank you for coming, I said formally. The board has questions about institutional culture at Presbyterian Heights. Helena sat, glancing at me with an expression that said, I can't believe you're actually doing this. Richard spoke first. Dr. Reeves, Emma has raised concerns about how Presbyterian Heights values non-medical professionals. Can you speak to your institution's culture? Helena took a breath. Presbyterian Heights has always prided itself on collaborative, interdisciplinary care. We employ and respect a wide range of professionals: nurses, administrators, social workers, researchers. Our mission statement explicitly values all contributions to patient care. And in practice? Patricia asked. In practice, we're human. Sometimes medical staff can be hierarchical. It's an industry-wide problem. Physicians sometimes fail to recognize that healing happens through many hands, not just surgical ones. Has the foundation ever expressed concerns about this before? Richard asked. No. Emma has been nothing but supportive. She's attended every fundraiser, recruited major donors, championed our pediatric cancer wing personally. So why are we discussing this now? Helena hesitated, looking at me. I nodded. Because, Helena said carefully, I attended a baby shower this afternoon for Dr. Sarah Chen, one of our surgical residents. During the shower, Sarah's mother mentioned that Sarah's sister couldn't attend because she works in nonprofit admin and wouldn't fit in with all the accomplished women here. Patricia's jaw tightened. And Sarah's sister is? Me, I said quietly. Sarah's my sister. She excluded me from her baby shower because she believes I'm not successful enough to socialize with her doctor friends. The room erupted. That's unconscionable. She doesn't know who you are? How is that possible? I raised a hand. Sarah knows I work for the Jameson Foundation. She's never asked about my role. She assumes I process grant applications or file paperwork. I've never corrected her. Why not? Richard demanded. Because my family needed me to be less successful than Sarah. That was my assigned role. Correcting them would have disrupted their entire family narrative. So you funded her hospital instead? Patricia's voice was sharp. I funded a hospital that does excellent work. The fact that Sarah works there is coincidental. But her attitude, the dismissiveness toward non-medical professionals, the assumption that only physicians contribute meaningfully, that represents a cultural problem we should consider. Helena spoke up. If I may, this afternoon at the shower, several attendees made comments about lesser professions and people who couldn't cut it in medical school. The attitude Emma describes is real. It exists in our institution. And you're the chief of surgery, Richard said. What are you doing about it? Honestly, not enough. I've focused on clinical excellence and assumed cultural issues would sort themselves out. Today made me realize they won't. Richard looked at me. Emma, what do you want? I want Presbyterian Heights to demonstrate that they value all contributions to healthcare, not just those made by physicians. I want institutional leadership to address the hierarchical culture that allows staff to dismiss and diminish other professionals. And I want to ensure that foundation resources support environments where excellence is recognized in all its forms. And if Presbyterian Heights doesn't meet those standards, then we complete our current commitments and redirect future funding to institutions that do. Helena's face went pale. Emma, Presbyterian Heights receives more foundation funding than any other hospital in the region. If you redirect that, then perhaps Presbyterian Heights should ensure its culture reflects the values that attracted that funding in the first place. Richard looked around the table. Board members' thoughts. The discussion lasted 40 minutes. Every board member agreed. Institutional culture mattered. If Presbyterian Heights demonstrated systemic dismissiveness toward non-medical professionals, that conflicted with foundation values. Finally, Richard said, Dr. Reeves, the board's decision is this. We'll continue current commitments, but all future funding is contingent on Presbyterian Heights implementing measurable cultural change. We want quarterly reports on initiatives to address professional hierarchy. We want staff training on interdisciplinary respect. And we want visible leadership commitment to valuing all contributions to patient care. I understand, Helena said quietly. You have 90 days to present an action plan. Until then, all new grant applications are frozen. After Helena left, the board members lingered. Patricia approached me. Emma, that took courage. It took reaching a breaking point. Your sister has no idea what she's cost her hospital, does she? Not yet. She will soon. Word travels fast in medical circles. I nodded. I know. At 4:17 p.m. while I was still in the board meeting aftermath, my phone started buzzing. Sarah. Emma, what the hell is going on? Dr. Reeves left my shower early for an emergency board meeting with the Jameson Foundation. People are saying the foundation is reviewing Presbyterian Heights funding. I silenced the phone. Emma, Sarah called very upset. She says something's happening with hospital funding. Do you know anything about this? Sarah. Why is the Jameson Foundation suddenly questioning Presbyterian Heights? This is going to reflect badly on all of us residents. Honey, please call us. Sarah's friends are all worried about their jobs. At 5:03 p.m. my phone actually rang. Sarah. I let it go to voicemail. Her message. Emma, I don't understand what's happening. Dr. Reeves came back from this foundation meeting and immediately called an emergency staff meeting. She said Jameson Foundation is reconsidering partnerships with hospitals that don't value all healthcare professionals. Everyone's panicking. Do you know anything about this? You work there, right? Can you find out what's going on? I deleted the message. At 6:42 p.m. another voicemail from Mom. Emma, this is getting serious. Sarah's colleagues are saying the Jameson Foundation might pull $25 million in funding. That's the pediatric wing Sarah's been working on. Can you ask your boss what's happening? This could ruin Sarah's career before it even starts. I poured a glass of wine and looked out at the city lights. My phone buzzed again. Helena. The hospital administrator just called an emergency leadership meeting for Monday morning. Word got out. Your name came up. Sarah asked if anyone knew Emma Chin from the foundation. I told her to ask you herself. Me and Helena. She said you just do grant paperwork. Someone showed her the foundation website. The executive team page. Your photo and bio. She went completely silent. Me, what does my bio say? Helena. Emma Jameson, Executive Director. Emma leads strategic direction for the Jameson Medical Foundation's $94 million annual distribution budget. Previously served as Director of Strategic Partnerships and completed a fellowship in medical philanthropy at Georgetown University. She holds degrees in public policy and healthcare administration. Under her leadership, the foundation has distributed over $380 million to medical research and hospital infrastructure. Me, comprehensive. Helena. Emma, she had no idea. She literally said, that can't be my sister. My sister works in admin. Me, what did you say? Helena. I said that administration at the executive level means controlling hundreds of millions of dollars in medical funding. That grant paperwork means deciding which hospitals get world-class pediatric wings and which ones don't. That maybe she should have asked you about your actual job instead of assuming. Me, how did she react? Helena. She asked for your phone number. I told her she already had it. At 7:28 p.m. Sarah called again. This time I answered. Emma. Her voice was tight. I need you to tell me something. Okay. Are you Emma Jameson, Executive Director of the Jameson Foundation? Yes. Silence. Long, painful silence. You're the person who controls the $25 million grant to Presbyterian Heights. I'm the person who recommended that grant to the board, yes. The board approved it. And today you called an emergency board meeting to reconsider. To review our hospital partnerships, yes. Because of what? Because I didn't invite you to my baby shower. Because you didn't invite me to your baby shower because you thought I wasn't accomplished enough to socialize with your doctor friends. There's a difference. Emma, that's not, I didn't mean. You meant exactly that, Sarah. Mom called me Tuesday and said your friends are all from your residency program, very accomplished women, and that they might be judgmental about my work in nonprofit administration. She said you didn't want anyone feeling uncomfortable on your special day. I was trying to protect you. From what? From successful women who might ask me questions about my work? Sarah, I oversee nearly $100 million in annual medical grants. I partner with hospital CEOs and research directors. I recruit billionaire donors and negotiate multi-year funding commitments. What exactly was I being protected from? I didn't know you did all that. You never told me. You never asked. In 10 years of holiday dinners, you've never once asked me what I actually do. You've asked me if my job has good benefits, if it's stressful, if I'm happy doing charity work. But you've never asked about my responsibilities, my budget, my strategic decisions. Because you said you worked in grant administration. I said I worked for the Jameson Foundation in grant administration. Which is accurate. I administer grants. It's just that, administer, at my level means, direct the distribution of $94 million annually. But you heard, administration, and decided that meant I was a paper pusher. Sarah's voice cracked. So you're punishing my hospital because I made assumptions about your job? I'm not punishing anyone. I'm ensuring that foundation resources support institutions whose culture aligns with our values. Presbyterian Heights has a problem with professional hierarchy. Staff there, including you, operate under the assumption that only physicians contribute meaningfully to healthcare. That conflicts with our foundation's mission. That's not fair. Isn't it? Sarah, you excluded me from your baby shower because you thought my career was too unimpressive for your doctor friends. You made that decision based entirely on professional hierarchy. You demonstrated exactly the cultural problem I'm concerned about. Emma, if the foundation pulls funding, the pediatric wing won't open. I've been working on that project for a year. It's going to be my specialty focus. Then maybe Presbyterian Heights should demonstrate that they value all the people who make that wing possible. The administrators who coordinate construction. The fundraisers who secure donations. The grant directors who approve funding. The foundation executives who champion the project. Not just the surgeons who'll work there. You're being vindictive. I'm being consistent with foundation values. There's a difference. Emma, please. This will ruin my career. Everyone knows the pediatric wing is funded by Jameson Foundation. If that falls apart, it reflects on all of us residents. Then work with Dr. Reeves to change the culture. Show institutional commitment to valuing all healthcare professionals. Demonstrate that Presbyterian Heights recognizes excellence in all its forms, not just those that come with MD credentials. I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe you thought so little of my career that you excluded me from your celebration. But here we are. She hung up. Monday morning, I arrived at my office to find 17 missed calls from family members. I ignored them all. At 10:15 a.m., my assistant buzzed. Ms. Jameson, there's a Sarah Chin here to see you. She says she's your sister. She doesn't have an appointment. I checked my reflection in the window. Perfect posture. Professional. Composed. Send her up. Sarah walked into my office and stopped dead. Took in the view, the artwork, the mahogany desk, the photos of me with hospital administrators and Nobel laureates. This is your office, she said. Yes. It's huge. Executive director offices tend to be. She walked to the window looking out over Central Park. I had no idea. I know. Emma, I came to apologize. For what specifically? For not inviting you to my baby shower. For making assumptions about your career. For not knowing who you actually are. Those are three separate apologies. Let's take them one at a time. The baby shower. Do you understand why that hurt? Sarah nodded, tears forming. Because I excluded you based on professional snobbery. I decided you weren't successful enough to be around my friends. That was cruel. Yes, it was. Next, the assumptions about my career. Do you understand the problem there? I never asked you what you actually did. I heard nonprofit and administration, and assumed it meant entry-level work. I never verified. I never showed interest. And the last one, not knowing who I am? I've been your sister for 36 years and I have no idea what your life actually looks like. What you've accomplished. What you do every day. I've been so focused on my own career that I never bothered to understand yours. Why not? Sarah sat down heavily. Because it was easier to be the successful daughter if you were the less successful one. Because comparing myself favorably to you made me feel better about my own achievements. Because I needed you to be smaller so I could feel bigger. The honesty was startling. Thank you for saying that, I said quietly. It doesn't make it okay. No. But it's a start. Emma, the hospital is in crisis. Dr. Reeves held an all-staff meeting this morning. She explained that Jameson Foundation is reconsidering partnerships with institutions that demonstrate professional hierarchy. She said that one of our own residents had excluded her sister from a celebration specifically because the sister worked in just administration, not knowing that sister controlled the foundation funding our expansion. And how did people react? Horror. Shame. Immediate recognition that we have a culture problem. Dr. Reeves announced mandatory training on interdisciplinary respect. She's forming a committee to review institutional attitudes toward non-medical professionals. She made it very clear. If we don't change, we lose funding. Good. But Emma, I'm the reason this happened. Everyone knows it was my baby shower. I've become the face of everything wrong with our culture. Is that fair? Completely. I demonstrated the exact problem. And now I have to live with the consequences. We sat in silence. Finally, Sarah said, what do I need to do to fix this? Personally or professionally? Both. Personally, you need to actually get to know me. Not as the less successful sister, but as an actual person with an actual career. That means asking questions, showing interest, treating my work with the same respect you want for yours. Done. What else? You need to sit with the discomfort of realizing you were wrong about me. Not rush past it. Not make it go away quickly. Actually feel it. I'm feeling it. Good. Professionally, you need to be the loudest voice in changing Presbyterian Heights culture. Use your status as chief resident. Make it clear that professional hierarchy is unacceptable. Lead the change. I will. And Sarah, you need to understand something. I didn't pull funding out of petty revenge. I pulled it because you demonstrated a fundamental misalignment between your institution's stated values and its actual culture. If Presbyterian Heights is going to receive foundation support, it needs to deserve that support. I understand. Do you? Because this isn't about you and me. This is about whether hospitals value all the people who make healing possible. The researchers, the administrators, the fundraisers, the policy experts. If medical institutions only celebrate physicians, they're missing half the equation. Sarah nodded. You're right. And we've been wrong. I've been wrong. Yes. You have. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Why didn't you ever correct us? Why didn't you make us see you? I thought about that. Because fighting for recognition is exhausting. Because I was tired of justifying my worth. Because I decided it was easier to build something undeniable than to constantly argue for acknowledgement. And then I made you argue anyway. No. You made me set a boundary. There's a difference. I'm not arguing for acknowledgement anymore, Sarah. I'm requiring it. And if institutions or family members can't provide it, I'm redirecting my energy elsewhere. She walked to my desk. I want to do better. As your sister. I want to actually know you. That takes time. I have time. This baby isn't coming for 4 months. You're inviting me to be part of that? I'm begging you to be part of it. Emma, I want my daughter to know her aunt. The real one. Not the version I invented. I want her to grow up understanding that success comes in many forms. That leadership isn't just about surgical skill. That the woman who funds pediatric wings is just as important as the woman who operates in them. Something in my chest loosened. I'd like that, I said quietly. Can we start over? Actually start over. We can try. Sarah pulled out her phone. Tell me about your work. Really tell me. I want to understand what you do every day. So I told her. About the grant review process. The strategic partnerships. The donor cultivation. The foundation board meetings where we decided which medical innovations deserved funding. About the pediatric cancer wing at Presbyterian Heights. How I'd personally recruited 3 major donors. How I'd championed the project through 2 years of foundation reviews. How I'd negotiated the $25 million commitment. About the other hospitals we supported. The research labs. The community health programs. Sarah listened. Really listened. Asked questions. Took notes. Emma, you've built something incredible. Thank you. And I've been treating you like you were unsuccessful. Yes. I'm so sorry. I know. 3 months later, Presbyterian Heights opened the Jameson Pediatric Cancer Wing. The dedication ceremony was beautiful. Families, staff, board members all celebrating. Dr. Reeves gave a speech about interdisciplinary excellence. About how healing required collaboration between physicians, nurses, researchers, administrators, and philanthropists. About how the wing existed because of contributions from dozens of professionals, not just surgeons. Then she introduced me. I'd like to recognize Emma Jamesonchen, Executive Director of the Jameson Foundation. Without Emma's vision, fundraising, and strategic leadership, this wing wouldn't exist. Emma, would you say a few words? I stood at the podium looking out at the crowd. My family sat in the front row. Mom, Dad, Sarah holding her newborn daughter. When we fund medical infrastructure, I began, we're not just building walls and buying equipment. We're investing in possibility. In the chance that a child diagnosed with cancer will find hope. In the belief that healing happens when talented people work together toward a common goal. I paused, looking directly at Sarah. This wing exists because of physicians who treat with skill and compassion. Because of nurses who provide round-the-clock care. Because of researchers who develop new protocols. Because of administrators who coordinate complex systems. Because of donors who believe in the mission. And because of foundation staff who champion these projects. Every single person in this chain matters. Not just the ones with the most visible roles. Not just the ones with MD credentials. Everyone. And when institutions recognize that, when they truly value all contributions, that's when extraordinary things become possible. The applause was warm, genuine. After the ceremony, Sarah approached with her daughter. Emma, I'd like you to meet Catherine. Named after grandmother. I looked at the tiny face, the alert eyes. Hello, Catherine, I whispered. I want her to know her Aunt Emma, Sarah said. The real one. The one who builds pediatric wings and changes hospital cultures and doesn't need anyone's permission to be extraordinary. That's a lot of pressure for an aunt. You can handle it. You're executive director of a $780 million foundation. I smiled. When did you memorize that figure? When I started actually paying attention to your career. Emma, I've been telling everyone about you. At the hospital. At family gatherings. Anyone who'll listen. My sister runs the Jameson Foundation. She's one of the most influential people in medical philanthropy. That's generous. It's true. And I should have been saying it for years. Mom approached, dabbing her eyes. Emma, that speech was beautiful. We're so proud of you. Thank you, Mom. I'm sorry we didn't understand earlier. About what you'd accomplished. We should have asked more questions. Yes. You should have. Can we do better? Going forward. We can try. Dad joined us. Emma, my colleagues at the firm have been asking about you. Apparently, the Jameson Foundation is legendary in nonprofit circles. I had no idea. It's okay, Dad. You know now. It's not okay. We let you be invisible for too long. That changes now. And it did change. Fully. Imperfectly. But it changed. Family dinners became actual conversations about my work. Holiday gatherings included questions about foundation projects. Sarah called regularly not just for big events but to ask how my week had been. The transformation wasn't instant. Years of dismissal don't disappear overnight. But it was real. And that was enough. 6 months after the pediatric wing opened, I received a letter from Presbyterian Heights. Dr. Reeves had written to inform me that the hospital had completed its cultural transformation initiative. Staff training on interdisciplinary respect. New policies valuing all professional contributions. Measurable improvements in how non-medical professionals were treated. The letter concluded. This change began with a difficult conversation. With your willingness to demand better. We're grateful for your leadership and your refusal to accept a culture that didn't deserve your foundation's support. I called the board meeting. Presbyterian Heights has done the work, I told them. They've demonstrated genuine cultural change. I recommend we approve their application for the next phase of funding. Richard smiled. The research lab expansion? Yes. $18 million over 3 years. And you're confident they've earned this? I am. The board voted unanimously to approve. After the meeting, Patricia pulled me aside. Emma, what you did, forcing institutional change by threatening to withdraw funding, that was controversial. Some people thought it was too personal. It was personal. And it was also right. I agree. But not everyone would have had the courage to do it. I didn't need courage, Patricia. I just needed to be tired enough of being diminished. She laughed. Well, whatever it was, it worked. Presbyterian Heights is a better institution because of you. And your sister is a better person. She's trying. That's what matters. A year after that baby shower I wasn't invited to, Sarah hosted a first birthday party for Catherine. The invitation arrived by mail, formal and beautiful. You're invited to celebrate Catherine's first birthday. Saturday, 2 p.m., Rosewood Hotel Garden Terrace. We can't wait to celebrate with the people who matter most. At the bottom in Sarah's handwriting. Emma, please come. It wouldn't be the same without you. Your family. And this time I know exactly who you are. I went to the party. The same doctors were there. The same accomplished women who'd attended the baby shower. This time Sarah introduced me properly. Everyone, this is my sister Emma. She's the executive director of the Jameson Foundation. She's the reason Presbyterian Heights has world-class facilities. She's one of the most respected people in medical philanthropy. And I'm incredibly proud to be her sister. The doctors looked at me with new recognition. Several approached to thank me for foundation support. To ask about grant opportunities. To treat me like the professional I'd always been. It was gratifying. But it wasn't why I'd come. I'd come because Sarah had asked. Because she'd done the work of seeing me. Because she'd earned the right to celebrate with me. As the party wound down, Sarah found me on the terrace. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me. Properly this time. Emma, I've been thinking about that baby shower. About what I said. What I believed about you. We've moved past that. Have we? Because I'm not sure I have. I wake up sometimes remembering that I excluded you because I thought you weren't successful enough. It makes me sick. Sarah, you're allowed to forgive yourself. Am I? Even though I was so wrong. Especially because you were wrong. You recognized it. You changed. That's what matters. I want Catherine to grow up different from me. I want her to ask questions. To never assume someone's worth based on job titles or degrees. To understand that success has many faces. Then teach her that. I will. With your help. Emma, will you be part of her life? Really part of it? I'd like that. We watched Catherine toddle across the grass, chasing bubbles, laughing. She's lucky, Sarah said. To have you as an aunt. I'm lucky to be included. You were always included, Emma. I just couldn't see it. But I see you now. And I'm not looking away again.